Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, Clint and I are chatting with Anna Maria Gatch, middle school digital media teacher at Singapore American School in Singapore. In this spotlight clip, Anna Maria shares 2 coaching experiences that entirely transformed her teaching practice. Together, we break down the strategies that those coaches use to empower Anna Maria to take the next steps in her teaching practice. In the full podcast episode, we also discuss the awesomeness of being a middle school teacher, the challenges of representing diversity in educational contexts, and the realities of sometimes feeling left out of the coaching loop when you're a specialist teacher. If you enjoyed this spotlight, make sure to check out the full episode wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. Remember, you can also listen to the full Coach Better episode wherever you get your podcasts. We are passionate about the impact coaching can have on student learning, school culture, and teacher professional growth, and we want to help you coach better. If you enjoyed today's episode, you are going to love our new resource for instructional coaches that you can find at coachbetter.tv/start. As requested by our listeners and viewers, we are compiling all of our coaching resources in one place just for you, and we are just getting started, so check back often for more updated content. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, Clint and I are very excited to be here with Anna Maria Gatch. Welcome, Anna Maria.
Hello.
We are so happy to have you. The last time I think all of us were together was at a Learning 2 conference, and I know you were just at a Learning 2 conference, so you're like still buzzing from the Learning 2 vibe.
Yes, I am.
Anna Maria, yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your education background, and your experience as a teacher.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, but I was raised in the States. I went to school in the States. I went to in university. I double majored in broadcasting and Spanish. So I actually was not originally an educator. I got alternatively certified in Texas.
Me too.
Which is a story for another day. But I started teaching in Pflugerville, Texas, which is a suburb of Austin, and I was a Spanish teacher at a middle school. So I taught all levels of Spanish there because we had a really diverse population, from conversational Spanish to even like AP Spanish to native speakers in 7th and 8th grade. And I moved here to Singapore American School. I'm here now, and I originally was hired as a Spanish teacher, but by kind of all these things that happened, I became the digital media teacher, and that was back in 2013. So I teach photography, graphic design, and filmmaking to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Mm-hmm. Before we started the call, you also mentioned that as a specialty teacher, sometimes coaching doesn't come your way as often as maybe you would like it to. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How does that work for you?
How does it work? So I think it works like this. And I will say, I have had the opportunity there have been like 2 times that I've been coached, and both of those times were like super transformative. Honestly, especially the first time, it's when I moved here, and Patrick Green was the tech coordinator in the middle school, and he really did take me under his wing, and like he brought in people to help me out, and it was very specialized. I think he cared very much about the program and saw the potential in it, and so I've always been totally indebted to him for investing that time within me. But I think oftentimes electives, art, music, I'm going to talk personally from the tech side, like digital media or our IT teachers. Like I very rarely do I see coaches pop in to help out with some teaching strategies. And I think it's because, not that the coaches don't want to, they're super passionate about it. It's like, but there's a huge focus on academics. Like our coaches here, Scott Riley and Betsy Hall, we're having these huge learning hubs, and a lot of their energies are being focused there they're asked to be focused there. And it's, as they should be, because it's something new and they really want to help the teachers and the students. But there's a whole other group of teachers as well that, we're out here, we want help. And the few times this I swear is the one or two times people have come up to me and been like, hey, like, I really want to help you out in your class. I've been overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's totally changed my teaching. This is the truth. Like every time I've had a coach spend 2 or 3 times with me, observe my class, give me feedback, it's like transformed it. So it's just the going in and thinking about the people that you would expect either need it or that kind of get ignored. And I think that's a lot of elective teachers usually.
It's such an interesting perspective, and I'm really glad that you're sharing that with us, because I think often as a coach, I would think to myself, as a specialist teacher, and then you're going to tell me I'm wrong, I know, I'm ready, but as a specialist teacher, your time with your kids is so limited. Who am I to come in as a coach and be like, hey, I'm here to like work with you on, whatever it might be. I would always be almost more careful about how much I approach specialist teachers, because I myself am a specialist teacher, and I know, look, I got that 45 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever it is, stay out of my way kind of situation. So I'm glad to hear this side of things.
I guess, and maybe I'm different, but like, I think a lot of specialist teachers work by themselves, right? And so the amount of time that I actually have to think about my teaching is nothing, because I have 4 different preps. So my time is spent grading, organizing, making sure everything is like running smoothly. And it's so, I think I have this conversation with a lot of people. It's like, especially like once you have like your stuff done, you go on autopilot.
Right.
And I have to be so intentional about like, oh man, I want to try something new. Like this is something different. How am I going to do it? And because I don't know a lot of teachers that teach all the things that I do. I mean, I can go on Twitter, but I'm like on Twitter, people, there isn't like a world of like all the film teachers or graphic design teachers that are sharing in what they're doing. Like, I don't even know where to start. So oftentimes it's me by myself going about it, trying to have conversations with some other teachers that I can, and then like hoping it goes for the best. So it's so lonely. So it's the opposite. Someone's coming in and taking what you really became a teacher for and helping out and make it an easier. Like, I think it's like a relief. That's how I feel. But maybe there's someone saying like, no, don't come in. So
it's such a good, no, I'm really glad to hear that, because when I was a specialist teacher teaching technology in middle school, and I was the only middle school teacher, that's how I started teaching middle school technology. I remember I've written blog posts, I've done presentations about it, feeling like I'm the only one in the school who teaches my subject area. There's literally no other person that teaches middle school technology. I can try to bounce ideas off the high school teacher and the elementary school teacher, but we all have different ways that we look at things because we work with different groups of kids. And what I would have given, 20 some years ago to have a coach come in and talk to me about it. And it's so funny that as a coach, I almost like forgot that isolated feeling and like didn't want to bother people. So I think it's really important to have this reminder that always go in with that kind of blank slate, open mind. Let's just see, they might say no, and that's okay. But if they say yes, there's this whole new opportunity to have a conversation and, like you've said, potentially transform their teaching and learning practice.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and there is so much more on the audio version. Don't miss subscribing to our podcast on any of your podcast subscribers under Coach Better.